Shout out to Kopish.
Shout out to Kopish, guys.
Keep all the good work
the
up.
two legends, Emil Heskey, Howard Gill. Can't get much better than that, guys. Yeah. You know what to do now. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm with legends, guys.
Kopish.
Now, obviously, happy birthday to Mo Chatra. Obviously, weren't able to get him on the show tonight, but we have got the next best Mo. If you follow him on Twitter, you'll know that he's one of the best at what he does. Football finance to a T. Also, does writing for The Mirror and is a regular on the Anfield Index. We are delighted to be joined by the one, the only Mo Chatra. Mo, how are you doing this evening, bro?
Oh, amazing. Thank you for that introduction. Brilliant. That's just superb. Thank you so much. My head's not going to fit out the door now.
Nice. Brilliant having you on, man. I've followed you for a little while now, and like we've always tried to get like little collaborations going. It's never really synced up. So appreciate you, making a time for us and coming on. But I'm going to cut to the chase, Mo, because you are an expert in what you speak about. Money, 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 money. The biggest thing Liverpool speak about when it comes to transfers. Now, we've obviously gone and splashed the cash for Núñez. However, on everybody's lips is that midfielder, that quality midfielder. First and foremost, in terms of the money we've outlaid so far, do you think that money has been spent up front in terms of trying to recoup that money? Or do you think Liverpool are in a stronger position than they let off to the media and that we believe as fans?
Yeah, good question. So, first of all, Liverpool are in the strongest position financially that they have ever been in. So I tweeted out a few weeks ago that the club was on course to generate a record-breaking turnover for the season just finished of approximately £580 million, which is, right up there with, the biggest clubs in the world. And that is about 50 million higher than we generated in, I think it was 18-19, which is the season when we last won the Champions League. And so, we're generating unprecedented amounts of money, but at the same time, because we haven't spent a lot in the transfer windows since 2018, we don't have as much owing to clubs. And again, this is something I've tweeted about, that, when you hear about transfers, about us signing, like a Jota for about 35-40 million pounds or a Thiago for 20, these deals are never paid up front. Yeah. They're always paid in installments. So when you hear, for example, we've paid out 64 million for Núñez, it won't be 64 million pounds having been deposited into the accounts of Benfica yesterday. What it would have been maybe about a third of that, which would have been just over 20 million pounds. And so it goes. So what that means is that for transfers that we may have done, last season, obviously the January one with Diaz, season before, there'll be a bit of money owing for those. But the deals that we did back in, say, 2018, your Alissons, your Van Dijks, your Naby Keitas, they've been long paid off. So they have been sorted out. So financially, we're in a great position because a lot of our transfer commitments from a financial nature have already been paid. And that's why we are in a position where we've got more money to spend than we probably ever have.
Very interesting. So another question I want to ask. Obviously, Luis Diaz signed for us in January. Apparently, this was a deal that was, put in place for the summer, but it was moved forward because Tottenham tried to get him, and then Julian Ward put his cards on the table and says, I'm the big man around here. So does that money potentially come out of the transfer budget for what we're seeing now, or is that sort of money there because we did look at him the previous summer, or is it not sort of known yet? And also, was he the Mane replacement before we knew Mane definitely wanted to go?
Well, one of the things that's been widely reported is that he was a target for this summer. And I think that, with Spurs going in for him late in the January transfer window, because he was such a key target for us, we thought, look, we can't hang around. we've got to act now and let's get the deal done. And we did that. So we gazumped Spurs, we upset Mr. Levy, and we got the deal done. So upset the Spurs fans and, a bit of banter with them a lot, which is always fun. And, we got the man and they didn't. So, yeah, it would have potentially been spend that we had planned for this summer. But at the same time, what we wouldn't have anticipated is getting necessary to the Champions League final. Each year, the finance people at the club will set targets in terms of how much money they'll make. But they wouldn't have budgeted for get all the way to the Champions League final. So they might have budgeted to get to, say, the quarterfinal. So the fact that they got to the final means that more money came in than they'd anticipated for. So that is additional money that they can spend. Was he the Mane replacement? Possibly so. And I think the club likely would have known a good year or so in advance that Mane will have only a year remaining on his contract in summer 22 and will probably want to move on. So I think that was known, but I don't think that necessarily then means that the club has less money to spend this window. And I think the best example and evidence of that is the fact that we were very, very clearly and obviously in the market for Tchouaméni. And we came very close to getting that deal done. According to multiple reports, there was a deal agreed. Personal terms were apparently agreed. There was a deal virtually agreed in principle, even though an offer hadn't been formally made. That's normally something that happens, when we know that the club is open to selling. But obviously, Madrid, being butthurt over missing out on Mbappe, then thought, right, okay, we've got to get some business done now. We're upset. We're really ruined the fact we missed out on our man and we thought we had him. So they went and gazumped us for Tchouaméni. We missed out on him. But what it showed is that, we were very close to getting that deal done. And we were also clearly in the market for Nunez. So we came very close to getting both of the key bits of business done in these opening days of the transfer window. So that should be the evidence that people need that the money is there. And on top of that, we also know that the club is on course to sell a number of players, Mane being one of them. So the money that will be generating this transfer window will again be higher than we've generated for a good 3-4 years.
I knew Real Madrid were hurt. And I knew it. I knew that was why they pay so much for Tchouaméni. I knew it.
So just back on the sort of the money that's been generated, if you can, again for myself as well, because I'm no expert in this, can you sort of compare what that's like to some of the other teams? Obviously, we think of Man United as being this commercial like giant, and then again you've got other teams like your Man Cities and your Chelsea. Maybe not so much Chelsea at the moment, but Man City, who obviously are able to blow most teams out of the water when it comes to money because of how they're run. So in terms of how we're running, the turnover we've just generated, how big is that for us going forward? And is it the end of the quote unquote sell to buy policy?
Yeah, so one of the things that Manchester United, who are our biggest rivals in many ways, have always been successful at is generating money and lots of it. And we've been in their shadow. I mean, you go back only 5-6 years, they were generating a good couple $100 million more than we were. So that's why they were able to pay out, silly money on like Di Maria and others, Alexis Sanchez. They were able to offer somebody like their goalkeeper, who in my opinion is dusted, £350,000 a week in De Gea. These types of deals, they're able to do, but they're not sensible. We know they're not sensible with their money. They are very, very wasteful. And they're paid for that now because they missed out on the Champions League. And on top of that, I think that we will be generating for the season just finished more money than they have. In the season before that, 2021, we generated almost as much commercial revenue as they did. So, that was the big difference between us and them, that they always generated so much from, official tyre sponsor to official condom sponsor, all sorts of sponsorship.
Hey, well, stay safe on the pitch and off the pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anywhere there was a deal.
I don't know if I'd use one of them. Do they work? I mean,
but any deal that there was to be made, they were there. So, fair play to them. But we are now really getting strong with our commercials. I mean, we've got a really lucrative deal with Nike, and on top of that, we read reports recently that we're going to be replacing our shirt sponsorship deal, which is currently with Standard Chartered, and that will be in all likelihood about 80 mil a year, which will be record setting. No club generates that much from their shirt sponsorship. Not Real Madrid, not Barca, not Man United, nobody. So that shows you the levels we're getting to. And I think that deal will be announced very, very soon in the coming weeks. So, we're in a really, really strong position financially. And again, that is why, I've gone onto Twitter, I think it was a couple of weeks back, and tweeted out about, look, Liverpool are so strong financially, they don't need to, in this summer, necessarily sell to buy, which had been, it appeared, the policy for the last 2 or 3 years, because obviously we were trying to do various things like completing the main stand and whatnot. Yeah. So, and yes, we are constructing the Anfield Road end extension, but as I say, we are generating more money than we ever have. So we're in a position to deliver that and yet invest in the squad and make sure Klopp has the team, the group he needs to go on all fronts again and take City to the limit once more.
Sweet. And then wages, because obviously another contentious thing at the moment is wages. Yeah. It looks as though we're going to be losing Mane, and rumours are that he was unhappy with sort of his salary and what he would have been offered. We all know about the Mo Salah situation at the moment. Now, it's been reported that we have the second highest wage bill in the league. Now, obviously, without going too much into detail, how actually does it work? Is it we actually have the second highest, or we have the second highest if we trigger our bonuses?
Yeah, so it's the latter. It's if we trigger those bonuses, then we end up in that kind of position. Our wage structure is the most heavily incentivized of all of the top Premier League clubs. So what that means is that the more successful we are, the more that our players earn. Now, we will regularly hear about our top players are earning he says, about 200,000 a week. Whereas we hear about De Gea earning about 350. We hear about other players at rival clubs earning 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 a week. And we're thinking, why are we paying less than them? And yet, if you look at the overall wage bill, it's up there with all of them. And the reason why is because, yes, our basic levels of weekly wages are lower, but our incentives, our bonus payments are massive. And so, like Mo Salah, for example, we might hear that, his contract is about 200,000 a week, but with all the bonuses that he earns, he's probably been making about 350 to 400,000 a week since he last extended the contract about 3 years ago.
Wow.
So he's been making as good money out of Liverpool as any Premier League player has from any of the rival clubs. But it's just that because our model is based on the more you score, the more you win, the more clean sheets you achieve, the more money you'll make. That is why, we have that kind of wage structure in place. And it works for us clearly because, we've been getting 92 points, 97 points, 99 points, in 3 of the last 4 seasons. And this wouldn't happen, I would argue, without having that kind of incentive. It's dangling that carrot in front of all these players and saying, right, you want to make dough? Okay, score, keep clean sheets, win. And that's proving successful.
All right, so just quickly, because I don't know if this is going to be one of your... While we're doing the individuals, Mo, do you have any idea what Mane's actually on? Because it's been the biggest myth that we've spoken about for the last year. Do you actually know what Mane's on?
Well, I don't know for a fact. Obviously, it'll be the player, his agent, and those within the club. But my understanding is that his wages are higher than has been reported in a lot of places. A lot of places are reporting that he was on a lot less than Mo, than Van Dijk, even the likes of Milner. But I don't believe that is true. I think that he's actually Just below Virgil van Dijk and Mo, I think that those two are the top earners. And then Mane is just below them, along with, I believe, Firmino. So those two are on level money.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably on about 170, 180. Mo and Virgil are on 200. In fact, Virgil might be on more now because
220.
Virgil
220, yeah. And even Thiago as well. I think Thiago was on reported 200. Is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's on. He's up there as well. And I think that the deal that was offered to Mo might have been 250 to 300. But I think that his agent was maybe pushing for more. And I know that image rights is also something that he owns at the moment, which maybe the club were trying to push for him to do a bit of a deal on. And so, who knows if that deal ever happens? He might go next summer for free and make a massive, signing on bonus with another club. Obviously, we all hope that doesn't happen. We hope he'll extend, but we know he'll be with us for another year. He's already said that. He's come out and said that. So, but all of us will be hoping that he extends for another several more years at least.
Can I quickly just ask, actually, I say the uncomfortable conversation for Liverpool fans, right? As a business, if we was to let Mo Salah not sign this summer and we allow him to go for free, do you think we've made a mistake there? And we maybe should have, if he's given it like an indication by summertime he's not going to sign, do you think Liverpool should then sell him? Like, what do you think a business should do, in your opinion?
Well, the way that a good business is, especially in football, is set up to do is to sell players when they're able to bring in a good amount of value for us. Now, if he goes for free next summer, we make nothing. If we sell him this summer, as painful as it will be, we can possibly generate 80, 90, 100 million pounds. We'd hope, obviously, we can generate even more than that. But, he's 30 years old. He's just got a year left on his contract. And, we're still coming off of COVID. And so, we're not seeing spending levels quite at what they were pre-COVID. So even if it was 80, 90, 100 million pounds, and if he was interested in going, I think that FSG, the owners, would have to give serious thought to selling. And I think in all likelihood, they probably would. And as hard as that might be to hear, that's just good business. And what it means is that Liverpool can then go and find somebody else to replace him, whether it's a Gnabry or, somebody else. There will be options, I'm sure. We have excellent scouting. We have excellent recruitment people. These, boffins that do all the analytics, these astrophysicists and whatever else they are, they will have an extensive network of a list of players that they can potentially go in for. And we're very early into the transfer window. It only started last week. Yeah. So, if there's indications that maybe someone is interested and they're going to offer a reasonable figure for him, then maybe the good business thing to do would be to move him on. And that would be hard to take because obviously he's been golden for us for, the best part of 5 years now. And it'd be sad to lose him and Mane in the same summer. But, all great football clubs, they carry on evolving and moving on. Those clubs that keep on clinging to the past and holding on to their best players until they're past their prime are the ones that then slip by the wayside. So we've seen that before with the likes of United, and we don't want to be one of them. It's all about saying thanks for the memories, but maybe the time is right for both of us to part ways. And it might be this summer, but hopefully not. I think he's still got some more to give for us in Liverpool. Yeah. And let's all hope that he gets that deal done, and we don't have to worry about that.
Indeed.
That would be a huge hole to fill. Yeah, Mane and Salah in the same summer. That almost seems impossible. If I'm being completely honest, that would be a disaster for me. Man.
So, Mo, 2 more questions before we let you go. And again, thanks for coming on, guys. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Mo's Twitter details are in the comments, in the description as well. So make sure you go and follow and support Mo as well. 100%. With the incentivized contracts, is it going to be harder to keep players past a certain age? Because Mane, Salah, Firmino, if he was ever offered a contract, Virgil could maybe argue with his next contract. they're getting to that age of that 30-year-old age where this could potentially be their last big contract. So let's say, for example, it's Mo right now. Even though the incentives have been brilliant up till now, he could be looking at it and saying, well, this is my last big contract. I want a guarantee rather than being incentivized. I could pick up an injury. The team could go through an injury crisis like the season before last, and we could finish or have a chance of finishing outside the top 4. Do you think we'll see that structure broken or adapted potentially because of the success we're seeing and some of the quality players we have getting older in age?
Yeah, I think it's possible we might see it slightly adapted, but I think at the same time, the club will look to cling on to the structure that they've got in place. And I think that is part of the reason why we still haven't got a deal over the line for extending Mo. You know, I think if they were a bit more flexible with that, I think they would have already extended by now. That would have probably been done last summer, to be honest. So I think that at the same time, you make a very good point that, you know, when players are getting to the age of 30, and maybe because we know that our system demands a lot of players, you know, Mane, Bobby, Mo, and all the rest of them, they're putting in so much, not only on the pitch, but even in training. You know, they're working really hard in training, they're working really hard in the match days. You know, this will take its toll on players. And we are seeing it already. You know, Bobby, for example, is not the same Bobby of 2018, 2019. Yeah. You know, and he's been a magnificent servant for us over the years. But when you get to that stage where your minutes are being phased down, your appearances are reducing, your opportunity to score goals and get the goal bonuses and all the other things are drying up, then obviously it's going to hit you in the pocket. And that is, I think, part of the reason why Mane is looking at the situation and thinking, right, they brought in Diaz potentially to replace me. I might be used less frequently. I'm not going to be an automatic starter anymore. And yet he's looking at the buy-in deal where they're offering double the money pretty much from what he's on in terms of his basic wage. You know, he'd be a fool to turn that down. Let's be honest. So, I think that's a situation that we have to face with our players, that when they do start hitting 29, 30, 31, it's less attractive for them to stay on at Liverpool based on the current model. But then what it means is that we have a real incentive to make sure that we keep replacing these players. And our hit rate when it comes to recruitment over the last 5-6 years has been as good as any club in world football.
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know, we're all hoping that, you know, Nunez makes a great start at the club. And, you know, he might not be quite at Mane levels to begin with, but obviously he's young, he's 22, he's got many years to come for Liverpool Football Club. And, you know, I'm sure that in due course, you know, he'll become a great, great player for us.
Cool. And last question before we let you go. If there is one midfielder you could get this summer, one name only, Mo, who would it be and why?
Oh, now you're asking. Okay. I think I've got to go with the man at Dortmund, JB, Jude Bellingham. You know, he's somebody that has all the talent in the world. He's got everything to his locker. Everything's in his locker, I should say. You know, he's got that kind of talent, you know, which can drive a team on when they need it. You know, when we need to be a bit more disciplined and more defensive, you know, he can work in that way as well. You know, he's as versatile a midfielder of that age bracket as there is around. And obviously, we're all disappointed to miss out on Tchouameni. But, you know, at this moment in time, there are a number of very strong midfielders around, and he is arguably one of the best. And, you know, we've already seen, you know, credible reporters saying, you know, we are interested in this player, but we're looking at him for next year. But tellingly, the same reporters are saying, however, if somebody makes a move for him, that might get us to act in the same way we acted in January and said, no, we want that man. We're not going to let another club take him from us. So, I'm still hopeful that we'll move for him, even if it means we have to spend 80, 90 million with Dortmund to get the deal done. I personally think that would probably be worth doing because, you know, if we get him in, he'll serve us for a good 10, 12 years at least. And, you know, just think of that midfield. Fabinho, Thiago, Bellingham. That's as complete a midfield in world football as you'll see.
It's tasty.
And exactly, yeah. And then with a potential Diaz, Nunes, Mo front line. Oh, my word. So,
very tasty. Very tasty.
So Man United, Tottenham, one of you boys, go and make a cheeky bit for Bellingham. I beg you.
But now, Mo, we are going to let you go because you promised us 15 and you've even gone over that. So we really, really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully this isn't the last time because if the comments are anything to go by, they've loved what you've said. They've loved your insight. As I said, I'm a fan of yourself as well. So just tell the people where they can find you and support you, bro.
Yeah, nice one. I really appreciate you having me on the show today. So I'm on Twitter and the Twitter handle is Mo Chatra. And yeah, I tweet about, you know, mostly financial stuff relating to Liverpool Football Club. But at least it gives people a better idea about, you know, where things are. Because obviously the finances then affect what we do in the transfer window and what happens ultimately on the pitch. So I think people do find it interesting and useful. Some of my threads go on a little bit. I do ramble on. But it's all to give people as much detail as I think they need to get a better idea about how Liverpool Football Club operates. So appreciate you know, all you guys having me on, and hopefully I'll be back.
It's been a pleasure, bro. And you know what? That picture behind you or painting is sensational.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's on point, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, bro.
I love it.
Thank you.
Bless you, Mo. Until next time,
Thank
man.
you, Mo.
Take care, man. We'll speak soon.
Cheers.
Take care, Mo.
Big up.